Here we go. It's Saturday, March 14th, 2026. Out here walking, get some exercise. You gotta be getting those steps in. That's actually true. There's this separate aside here. I digress. There's a book out there. I love it. It's called Built to Move. Your body is built to move. So, get those steps in. Anyway, so let's say we're on the, I think we're on the third case now. Using criminal court cases to kind of navigate the dating space, get what's the real, true female nature, not what they put on TikTok, not what they want us to believe, or what they tell us to believe, or whatever, because that public mask is off. So this case today is going to be a case out of Georgia, and all three of these cases, they're similar in the fact that Mike Williams, Fabio Cementelli, and this case today, Wayne Farris, is they all were killed by the women, or the women conspired to kill them, and they were all married at the time of their killings, and they were all killed to get out of the way because they were having a sexual affair with what I call an alpha seed. So, I mean, think about that. That's a trend, huh? And so, and again, I want to make this clear, very, very clear. We need to honor these guys. These guys, I mean, look at they were accomplished men. And by no way are we disparaging who they were. We're remembering them, because I'm a tribe man. I'm for tribe men. That's why I want to spit this stuff. When I tell these stories, I'm not telling these stories to disparage their men. No, absolutely not. We need to raise these guys up, because they were loving their partners. They were loving their wives. They were doing what they thought they should do. Was it what they should have done? No, in my opinion, no, obviously not. Look at the results. But that's, in all intents and purposes, all these men were known by their families and friends as wonderful men. Okay, and today, let's get into the Farris case in Georgia. Alpharetta, Georgia, where this occurred, I believe. Wayne Farris was killed by his wife, allegedly, according to the state of Georgia. And she's now serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Wayne Farris was a lawyer at a very prominent law firm in Atlanta. He worked there for a long time. One thing I would say about him that hurt him, in my opinion, is he was overweight, in bad health. And guys, alpha seed, that mindset, we talk about mindset, you got to be in good health. You need to be working out. I tend to say maximize, not like the clown Caligula looks maxer. He's not a looks maxer, by the way. I'm going to digress on that a little bit. He's a steroid abuser, a growth hormone abuser, and a testosterone abuser. And that's how he's gotten his changes, and maybe some other stuff. But all that other crap he talks about, he's a fraud. He's a steroid abuser. Nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying he's lying about it. And, I think that they use that other stuff to wow you. But illegal steroids and steroid abuses. And it works. I mean, what he's done's worked. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not. But anyway, again, I digress again. And in fact, I saw in high school and college and growing up that those guys that use those substances, they often got the girls. So you guys connect the dots. If that's what you want to do, get with your doctor. Probably not the best for your health, but if you want ladies, okay. But we understand these are your choices, So, I kind of laugh sometimes, and again, I'm digressing. And I've said this to women because I work out a lot. I've said, you don't care, and again, guilty as charged, same substance as convicted I've used. So, I understand their power. So, my point in that is, they don't care how you get your muscles, or whatever, how you get your aesthetics. they just care you have them. So, you know, your parents might tell you, "Hey, don't cheat," and you know, they want. Well, if this dude over here has 20-inch arms and I got 10, you know, the girl at the club or where, she doesn't care how he got them, you know. So at one point we thought the world was equitable. Like, well, he cheated, and that's the one thing that, especially beta males, the beta needs, that they want to sit there and go, there's a scorecard, Pookie and Ray Ray, they just sit in the corner all day, sell them drugs, you know. They don't go to work, hard work like me, and sacrifice and take care of these stepkids. Yeah, they don't, because that method don't work. And they can smash with, you know, a lot easier than you. And you're gonna call them betas or whatever. No, you're the beta, whatever. Okay, we're kind of skipping around today. Sorry guys, I'm tired. But once again, isn't that beautiful? The Houston skyline, fourth largest city. I mean, I live right down here. It's freaking beautiful, man. It doesn't get old. So anyway, Gary Wayne Farris was killed by his wife. They were married in 1980. They had 4 kids. They had 2 sons and 2 daughters. Great kids. He was a great dad. Everybody says he's a great dad. Made great money. Melody Farris and Gary Wayne Farris, by the time their marriage ended, they were sleeping in separate bedrooms. Don't ever do that, guys. You know, don't ever do that. You know, it's over. You got to end it. You got to have the mindset, again, the alpha mindset. You got to have the mindset to end it. You're gone. Respect yourself. Love yourself. You're better than that. You know, you don't get treated like that. You know. So, but yeah. So they were but through the marriage, they had money and everything, and so she had 2 affairs, 2 sexual affairs, and each guy testified in the trial that she had an affair with, and both of them, again, we can all, look and observe human behavior, and it just, in my opinion, the guys that she had the sexual affairs with, they were in good shape for their age and stuff. You could tell they maybe worked outside or whatever. They were rough kind of guys to a certain degree, had an edge to them, and they had these like deep booming voices. I observed it. So I'm not a woman, so I don't know if that's but there was definitely a difference and a similarity between the 2 guys she had an affair with, right? So first guy she has an affair with, whatever, that happens, and then I guess they reconcile. But I think from then, once that happens, guys, an affair happens and you're done. You're done. But so now you're moving on, and she now, closer to when the murder happened, she's having a sexual affair with a guy named Rusty Barton. That's his nickname, whatever. Can't remember his first name, but it doesn't matter. Real name. And the guy's really cool. He's a really cool dude. He rode Harleys. Blue collar guy. Good country boy from Tennessee. And she liked him a lot because there's actually, during the trial, they play, I believe the girl's Emily Farris. By the way, the 2 girls, and this is not to disrespect them, this is to, compliment them. They're beautiful. His daughters were beautiful. And very well spoken, very intelligent. And I mean, if you're out there, guys, no, they're married, and if you're not, no, I'm kidding, but no, they testified. You could tell these were, whoever married those girls is, lucky dude right there, but really pretty girls, and they love their father. They again testified to it. You're hearing it. But what it beta need, protect, provide, and parent. That's great and all, but it does nothing for a woman's arousal to you or her genuine burning desire to you. She doesn't care how good a dad you are. Now, doesn't mean you have to be a bad dad, but that's not. A lot of guys think, well, if I'm a good dad and all this, my wife will love me. No, she doesn't. She don't care. I mean, that's an added benefit. You know what I'm saying? Now, because she'll go and have a torrid, sexual, lustful affair and have high burning desire for a guy she has no kids with, and is broke, you know. But she lust after him more than she would, you know, dad. Anyway, let's keep going. So, so the girls testify. Well, at one of their weddings, I believe it was Emily. Yeah, it was Emily. So, you know, during your wedding, you take video, right? And, you know, it's the dances and all that stuff. Well, Rusty, the guy she's having an affair with, which everybody apparently knows, kind of. They kind of know, but they don't. He's just a friend of you know, who knows, her. And she didn't care. That's called total disrespect. You know, she brings, you know, this guy she's having an affair with to her daughter's wedding, you know, and, you know, and Gary is there, you know. He's hanging out. They're actually, at one point, they're filling up their punch or something, or getting coffee, or, you know, refreshments. And they're all together, kind of talking. And Gary was a great guy, you know, but you can't be that great guy and expect to have women, you know, want to, you know, maintain a lustful, desirous relationship. You got to be the ruthless, you know. And again, I you know, don't want to be a killer out there, but the ability to exert violence on this guy that's, you know, having sex with my wife, you know. And again, no, it's not saying to do that. It's meaning you're standing on business, right? And so, you know, so during that wedding and the reception, she's trying to dance with him. She's smiling. She's acting like she's, you know, 18 years old, Melody Farris. And she was, at that time, I think in her 50s or 60s. I'm not sure. Again, I saw the video myself, and you could tell she likes this guy. And her poor husband doesn't even pay attention to him. Doesn't even pay attention to him. The plow horse over there, you know. Sit down over there, boy. I'm going to go over here, you know, be with the guy I really like, you know. And, you know, so, so that, I mean, that was eye-opening. And so, and here's the thing, you know, Gary Wayne Farris ends up, he was shot. They found a .38 caliber bullet in his ribcage. But where did they find the ribcage? Where did they find his remains? Here we go. On a burn pile on their property. He was burned. She threw him on the burn pile, the garbage burn pile. And they found his remains there. I mean, it's, you know, it's in court, that facts. That's how much, you know, told you, ruthless. You know, this is not me, you know, you know, just getting off on this stuff. It's what's going on. I mean, it's the facts of the case. But again, and I made this joke one time to a friend of mine. I said, you know who doesn't end up on a burn pile? And this is not, again, the guy who slings the eggplant like nobody's business. He is not going to end up on a burn pile by a woman. Hell no. But the guy who, and get this, Gary Wayne Farris, her husband, prior to his death, he bought her a $1.1 million property with a horse barn with 5 stables for horses. Beautiful. A house with 4 bedrooms, 8,000 square feet. Another side, like, actually the horse barn had an apartment on there where their son lived. And they had tractors, 4-wheelers, you know, it's just absolutely beautiful place. It was $1.1 million and 9.9 acres. And he bought that because apparently the first guy she had an affair with was into horses. And he thought that, hey, you know, maybe if I can do something to, you know, get her into horses, she'll like me. It's not the way it works. They don't care what you can provide. They don't care what you can buy. It's who you are, your swag, you know, your mindset, you know, how you move. Again, it's the but look it up, alpha seed, beta need. Look it up, beta alpha seed. This is what we're talking about. So once again, you know, we go back and I'm going to start comparing cases with Fabio. You know, Porsche, $1 million house. Mike Williams, you know, over $200,000. You know, super guy. You know, looks, money, status. We keep talking about that, and you have these guys out here, and I'm not going to call out one guy. Anyway, he's a Vegas guy, and he's all money, status. No, that's what works for him, right? That's what attracts girls for him. He's a club promoter type guy. Yeah, you can get girls, because you're in their vicinity. You have access to them, and that's what money and status do. It allows you to have access to them, but it doesn't make them have burning desire for you. What makes someone have burning desire for you is your your looks, your attractiveness, and your behavior. And how she sees your behavior as: is it masculine? Are you dominant? Are you assertive? Are you driven? Are you stand on business when someone calls you out? Are you coy and shirk and fear? Whatever, those kind of things, right? I'd rather have that than, look at my Instagram. Isn't it so cool? This is what this guy. I don't want to call him out because I like him, but I think he's way off on his assessments of show a lifestyle that you have on Instagram. Nah, come on, man. No. But so the trial goes on. Try to think, is there anything? He ends up on the burn piles. His son finds him. How would you feel? See your dad's remains, skeleton. While she's saying, I don't know where he is. I don't know where he is for a couple days, and it was terrible for the family. It ripped them apart. And this is something that we have to understand, is that if a man's not leading that unit, again, and Gary wasn't. I'm not trying to get up, but he's not leading it. If you're not leading that unit, then it breaks apart, because a woman, she's going to go after what works for her, and at the end of the day, especially when they're unhappy, they're going to go after what works for them, what's best for them in a ruthless kind of way. It's going to be all about them, and it's, again, features, not bugs. I was listening to Just Pearly Things podcast last night, and this is, again, not to, it had nothing to do with her, as far as she was just moderating this panel of guys who were talking about divorce and how women take half your stuff and they traumatize men by, the men have death by 1,000 concessions, and these men love their wives so much and they don't want to leave, but the women leave at 80%. It sounded pathetic because none of that's true. What they may leave at 80%, but the men don't stay because they love them. The men stay because they're too scared to get back out there and start dating again, because it's hard for most men. What's it the stats say? 80% of men are beta males. They got to really compete. And I had that mindset when I was a young man. I had that mindset of, thank God I got a woman. I'm going to stick with this one, because dang, it was hard to get one. And I probably, insecurities. I got over that, thank God. I probably can't get another one, so I'm going to stick with this one. That's what most guys do. I thought I was the only one when I started hearing this stuff. I'm like, that's what most men's strategy is, because if 80% of men are beta males, that aligns with 80% of women initiate divorces because they're disgusted with who they're with. The men didn't realize when they got married to them, they didn't like you. City Hall, pretty cool. They didn't like you. You didn't even know that, because you don't know how it feels when a woman does like you. And I do know that. I've had the experience now. I'm 50 again. That's why I can, it's not that I went some special classes. I've been through some things, and us wiser guys and us guys who, we've got the lumps, we've got the bruises, and younger men should, hear this stuff, and we want them to do better, because when I hear these Gary Wayne Farris, when I hear Fabio Simontelli, again, we honor them, and Mike Williams, I wish they were still here today. Those were great men, and the fact that if I were there, it burns me up to know I could hear what's going on, and I could hear, you're not respected, you're in trouble, she's gonna be ruthless, she's gonna treat you like, dog crap, because you ain't respecting yourself, you ain't loving yourself, and she can't respect and love someone that doesn't. So I want to shake these guys. Why can't you see it? I wish I was there. You could have stopped it. You think you could have stopped it. So that's what I'm doing here. That's what we're going to do here. We're stopping that crap. I'm shaking you guys, man. We're not going to be beta male plow horses. No, we're not. and don't, and all that stuff you hear on TikTok. I want a kind man, I want an intelligent man. All the what women tell you, they want beta males to hear that and believe that. Because the guy who stands on business, the alpha seed, the strong mindset, he don't care what they want. You know, he's gonna go after what works for him, and he knows what works for him. He's seen kindness don't work. He's seen that, you know, they got to get to know you first before, you know, you're having sex. He knows that. You know, I know that, right? If that, you know, some of my best relationships, and you know, because I don't believe in these 304, do not ever use that word. If she's a 304 to you, that's a good thing. You know, because she ain't a 304 to everybody. And that's a beta, that's a loser mindset if you're saying 304s, dude. You know, because, you know, and if that's the case of all these guys, you hear them all the time, you know, 304, you know. Well, if it is, why do these guys seem not to be getting any sex then? There's whores everywhere, they say. You know, well, what are you complaining about, you know? And we go back to, again, I'm skipping around, but we go back to a lot of people, well, they came out with, I hate this kind of talk, and you know, is, when they came out with no fault divorce, they went up, blah, blah, blah. Are you serious? Are we going to say that, guy? Are we going to be, is this going to be how weak we are? That no fault divorce is what caused all this? No. Now, maybe they were able to execute on it, but maybe they didn't execute on it, but they still hated you. You know? It's one of those things where some guys think when they're having sex with a woman, she likes them, right? And a lot of times it's true. But sometimes she's trying to get stuff out of you. There's a difference, and there's a different kind of sex. There's validated sex, you know, and there's transactional sex. And if you'll know the difference when you have, you know, each one. You know, you got to know these things. And again, alpha C gets the validational sex. She wants to let you know, look how well I do this. Look how well I can make you feel. And I want to make you feel well. And I want to do this a lot for you. Because who you are and how you make me feel, she knows how you make her feel is amazing. Your presence in her life is absolutely amazing. She doesn't need her nails done. She doesn't need her you know, by you. She doesn't need you to pay for that. She needs you to show up. She wants you to show up a lot. She wants you to show up all the time. This is how women really are to men they like. These are the conversations going on in the correct circles, in the strong men circles. Not the women cause trauma. I mean, think about it. Just recently, and again, I'll end this pretty soon, but just recently, there's a case where a girl met her husband in church at 18 years old. Only one sexual partner, had 3 kids. It's a great family. Now, she divorced. They're getting divorced in the process, and she seemed like a really cool girl. But she's met a felon and a drug abuser, a former drug abuser, and she is fully in love with him. And she's getting married to him for 7 weeks. You know, and she's been doing drugs with him, and, you know, smoking marijuana. She's never done any of this stuff. Now she's, you know, the typical whatever good girl, church girl. Now she's doing all this stuff, and the husband testified in court that the sex that she's having with her boyfriend is bothering. I don't make this up, and I'm going to talk about this case too. Is bothering the neighbors. Okay, so, which, I mean, that's alpha seed. And again, so, you know, and so go back, she bought him a motorcycle. Okay, we have these guys out here on TikTok or whatever, you know, complaining that women just want their nails done and their dates, and we pay for dates. And I mean, I heard a couple of those yesterday, you know, and one podcast I like is a Coffee Pod. But even then, you know, the red pill space, it's moving on, like, from some beta males tendencies that were in it. I don't know. But he was saying that this girl was complaining because they went to a sushi place, and the guy didn't realize she wanted all you could eat sushi, and this girl was you know, just a witch and disrespectful. And it was $36 for all you can eat sushi. And the guy said, hey, is it $36 for both of us or $36 each? $36 each, that's $72. And the coffee pod guy said, well, that's his fault for not realizing it, his fault for not. No, because if you're there for me, if you're there for the bad dude that I am, the alpha seed guy that I am, the strong mindset guy that I am, the guy who can save your life if a robber comes, the guy who's willing to do that for you, you know, the guy that can give you eggplant and make you just scream like a, you know, if you know who the hell I am, you can go ahead and get your half or whatever. You can go get, you know, where you're going to go or whatever. But I don't have to pay for you. And you should still, you know, want to be there with me. Because when the girl's around someone they like, and I say alpha seed, when she's around someone she really likes, she don't care what she's doing on a first date. You know, when a woman cares what you're doing on a first date, that means she don't like you. She should say, I don't care, whatever, as long as your presence is there. Because girls don't love you. They love you for how you make them feel. They will never love you. They always will love you for how you make them feel. So, quickly on that. So, why are we teaching guys that, well, if you invited them on a date, you must pay for it? No. Guys, no. You know, you're going to lose a lot more. But because men who are men do what the hell they want. And I don't want to pay for you. But I'm going to have to suffer the consequences if maybe a lot of girls won't want to go for that, right? But some will who really find a value in me, who find value in building something with me, who find value in, you know, having sexual relations. She's not going to, you know, and that's the idea. Man, if you're a good man, if you're a man of moral character, you do what you want. Do what you want. Because men who stand on business do what they want. You know? And they say, you know what? I'm going to do what I want. I'm a good guy. Whatever. And you have to apologize to nobody. If you want to have sex on a first date, and that's the way it is, you're going to tell the woman, I want to have sex on a first date. And if she tries to shame you, oh my God, that's how I do it. Okay, you don't like it, you can go over there, get out of the way so I can find someone that will. And there's nothing wrong with you saying that. You know, because, that's what I stand on. And here's the thing, and I've done it, and you could, and if you say it with your full chest, women actually appreciate that. They if you can do it confidently, they'll be nice to you. Oh no, that's okay. But a lot of times, someone will say, sure. You know, and here's the thing. You know, usually the quicker a woman has sex with you, usually, not all the time, is the more she desires you, the more she has passion for you, the more you are the alpha seed. Usually, you know. So that should almost be your standard, you know, because there's some guy out there that she will have sex with on the first date. If a girl says, hey, I don't do that on first dates. I'm a kind of girl that waits. Just add, and this shout out Mr. Lucario, just add with you, meaning I don't do that on first dates with you. I'm the kind of girl that has to get to know somebody with you. But trust me, there's a Chad out there, whatever, that don't have to do that. So if this is, let's say you're going on a date, you want this to possibly be your girl. Well, then then you're not going to want to be in a relationship with a girl who made you, because there's a guy out there that she wouldn't have done that for. So make that your standard, but you're gonna not have as many dates, and I think that's where we need to be with it. You know? But I think I've beat this horse to the ground. I hope at least there's some good information in this. Oh man, I'm about to get run over. I think there's some good information in this one. You know? I apologize for skipping around all the time, but what I want you guys to do is learn, connect the dots. I think I'm making a good case for it. We're going to keep going. There's hundreds. There's going to be thousands, and maybe I'll get all those out, and hopefully I can, affect more people to say this is how, things need to go. And in my opinion, and if people got more to add or whatever nuances, if you disagree with it, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I really don't, because I've done more work than they have. You go somewhere else, go with the beta males. I don't want to hear it. I really don't. It's like I told you, is, if let's say I make my standards, I'm having sex on a first date, right? And again, I will end it, I promise. It's not going to be you have to. No, this is my standard. And if you don't want to, if you don't desire me in that way, and I have told women that's okay. No, that's okay. I'm going to take you home and I'm going to give you the freaking, red carpet treatment all the way because you don't have to. I'm not entitled to anything. No, and that's the mindset we got to get out of. I'm not entitled to their sex, Now, I want them to want to. But if she doesn't want to, that's fine. No. That's, hey, cool. We don't do that, guys. We ain't like that. We don't demand that. Nah, that's our standard. We demand it for our standard, but it's only because their desire for us. They just must do that, right? So that's what I tell them. There's that trope out there. Oh, he took me on an expensive steak date, and he thinks a $50 steak is worth this vagina. Well, that's a really bad way to look at it. That's not what men are saying. What men are saying is, I think I'm a bad dude. I think I respect myself and I love myself, and I think by the end of this date, I think you're going to give me the opportunity to do that because I'm a bad dude, That's what we're saying, and we want you to really want to do that with us because what you learned about us, what you saw in us, right? That's what guys are saying, right? Women make it out to be because they don't understand this crap. They don't have to, and that's okay. But what they're saying is, you want a transaction. No. And that's what dates should be, not a transaction, and this is why we're in a crisis, it stopped being that. We go out to a dinner or whatever it is, and we don't do that anymore, but coffee, and I give you, we have this opportunity to get together and get to know one another and, bring a man and a woman together and all I'm asking for is the opportunity to start having a sexual romantic relationship with you. That's what I want. That's what I'm here for, right? And that's all we asked for, But what ended up happening was the foodie dates. Why is that a term? Right? I've been foodie dated. I'm not saying I'm above any of y'all, anybody. I've been through all this. That's how I know this, right? But too many girls use guys for foodie dates or whatever the case may be. Their rent, and guys are like, nah, man, no. So. We don't want transactions. We want women to desire us. And we think when they are having sex with us, they do desire us, right? So, anyway, once again, like I said, if one person, learns something from this and, doesn't end up as a stat or victim of a woman's disgust in them because they didn't have the traits and I probably the last thing I'll say, but here's the thing. A lot of these guys, this is what I'm teaching or what I think I'm spouting here in my own mind, whatever, is none of these three guys, wonderful guys, right? They didn't know what danger they were in, right? It's kind of like, they were like silverback gorilla with their kid, a 2-year-old, fell in the pen of their zoo, right? And the kid didn't know, he didn't know what danger he's in. He was playing with the rocks, and here comes a silverback, dude. And you're like, oh my God, everyone's and he didn't know. He's like, do. That's an analogy to think. That's what these guys are in. And now, luckily, that kid wasn't killed, but these guys were. It's life and death, gentlemen. And it's only 3 guys. No, there's going to be more. And if it's one guy, think about it. Bobby Osimontelli was sitting in his own backyard. Think about it. You're sitting in your own backyard. And your wife's plotting your murder. Did he ever think, I might die in a car accident. I might, I don't eat well. I might get a heart attack. Did he ever think that he would be getting stabbed by his wife's lover? I mean, and I'm not making light of that. That is, can you wrap your head around that, guys? Your own wife is planning for you to get stabbed in the neck because you're not doing things. You're not moving properly. Now that doesn't make it right. She needs to spend. She needs to be in. She is life in prison for sure. I watched the case because I wanted her to find that justice, right? And once again, this guy, Wayne Farris, you buy your wife a $1.1 million 9-acre ranch, and the thanks you get is to be on a burn pile. That is not made up. That is in court evidence. Explain that to me. Explain why that happened. Because he was not Rusty. He was not Ted. And he didn't know how much danger you are in when you're in that situation with a woman. She's disgusted. She will make you pay. She's ruthless. She's ice cold. No feelings. No reach around. No loop. And that's for all of us, guys. Every single one of us. And it's on us. Not on them. On us. And I'm going to leave it at that. Staying on business, gentlemen. Let's go.